Welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. One of the world's most beautiful big cats is the cheetah. Famed for being the fastest four-legged animal, the cheetah has in recent years become so scarce that the very real possibility of its becoming extinct has been looming. This grim possibility exists in spite of the fact that the female cheetah often gives birth to a large litter, sometimes as many as 8, but more often 4 to 6. Unfortunately, the mortality rate is very high among the kittens, and less than half survive to adulthood. American scientist George Frame of Utah State University has undertaken perhaps the most penetrating study ever made of the family life and ranging habits of these magnificent cats in an effort to help preserve them. Recently, we were invited by him and the Tanzanian government to observe the studies being done here in the extensive Serengeti plains of Tanzania. With radio-telemetry-collars providing accurate information of the ranging activity and other pertinent data, steps are now in progress in Tanzania to make sure that the cheetahs shall survive. The Serengeti Plains is the largest remaining national park for many of the plain-dwelling animals of Africa. Therefore, its protection as habitat is very important and a never-ending job. A key figure in helping to provide that protection is a Tanzanian official who is keenly interested in the scientific research being done here. He's David Babu, Chief Park Warden, who has been describing basic ecosystems here on the Serengeti. Much of the present research originates from the Serengeti Research Institute, which is where we're heading now. Preparations are underway at the Institute to radiolocate a particular animal. David Babu will continue his own duties elsewhere, while I join the scientist who is doing much important research here, American biologist George Frame of Utah State University. Working here, too, as half of the husband and wife scientific team is Lori Herbison Frame, whose work involves the wild dogs. It is important in the research that individual animals be recognizable from the photos taken of them. The cheetahs are photographed from different angles so that they can better be identified by George in the field. Though visual recognition is important in the research, George Frame also selects special male cheetahs for radio-telemetry collaring. At present, only males are collared to study their ranges. The transmitter, enclosed in tough plastic, is activated at the time it's put on the animal. The signal can be received from 5 miles away. Now it's time we all head out. In leaving here, Lori will go her way to continue her own research on the wild dogs, while our cheetah observations will be carried out elsewhere. Each of us will travel in a separate vehicle. Part of the procedure today will be to locate a telemetry-collared male cheetah which has been ranging in this general area and has been the subject of close study. Lori's research takes place on the Serengeti also, but a considerable distance from where George and I will be observing. When we separate, we probably won't see her anymore today. George is heading off toward one basin area, while I'll head for another beyond a ridge. He and I will be in walkie-talkie contact, but Lori will continue out of range of us. This is really quite a beautiful time on the Serengeti. Territorial claims become important, and that's what these large male ostriches are fighting about now. Like most such fights between them, it doesn't last long, and little seems to have been settled. These plains are very expansive, 90 miles wide and 120 miles long. But where I'm heading now will only be several miles from where George is. This is approximately the area where George Frame said I should encounter some of the cheetah families, and possibly also the male wearing the radio-telemetry-collared. This cheetah female with a number of cubs is evidently the one George calls solitaire, judging by the size of the cubs, about 3 months old. She's the only female in this research quadrant who has a family just this age. At first, it appeared that there were only 4 kittens in the family, which is a normal-sized cheetah litter. However, a closer look at the young ones, who are trying to watch me and yet still keep hidden behind their mother, shows that this particular female has 5 cubs. Unfortunately, probably only 2 or 3 will reach maturity, since cheetah cub mortality is over 50%. The collared male is not here, so other areas will have to be checked out. The range of the male cheetah is relatively small, so we should be able to locate it soon. In looking for a rocky prominence to climb onto in order to take a telemetry reading and locate the collared cheetah, George Frame encountered an unexpected hazard.
Part of the problem we've run into with locating collared cheetahs is that sometimes the radio signal is difficult to detect. If the animal is lying down, the transmitter broadcasts only a short distance. Hand clapping alerts large predators to the human presence and prevents possibly dangerous surprises. To better receive the telemetry signal being broadcast, it's advantageous to get to a high point, but sometimes that's hazardous. Obviously, this lioness was not frightened off by the hand clapping, so I'll move out of the area and leave her alone. Wherever possible, we minimize our disturbance of the animals, so they don't feel harassed, even though we're studying some of them closely. Our search for the collared cheetah should logically move away some distance now, since the cheetahs don't get along with lions. Throughout the Serengeti plains, at this time of the year, there are numerous herds of Thompson gazelles, and Tommies are the principal prey of the cheetahs. These 6-month-old cheetahs have seen the gazelles, and so has their mother, who is now demonstrating for them how to stalk prey which is very swift. This cheetah is recognizable as one we've watched often during the development of her cubs. We call her Jade. Sometimes cheetahs stop for long periods during the stalk, taking care to move only when the attention of the prey is elsewhere. Gazelles run more slowly than cheetahs, but they can run longer. So in order to catch one, the cat must get as close as possible with its stalk before making its charge. If she can't overtake the gazelle within a couple hundred yards, chances are the gazelle will escape. Now Jade's excited cubs move to join her. Every action of these animals gives us more information on their lives and habits and needs, and allows us to afford them better protection. Perhaps Marlin would like to come and observe the cheetah family feeding. Fortunately, when the young cheetahs reach the age of Jade's cubs, the mortality rate declines sharply, and there's a good chance that all of these cubs will survive to full adulthood. Marlin reports having had no luck yet in locating the collared cheetah, so having an opportunity to watch this cheetah family feeding may prove valuable. While they eat, Jade watches the various scavengers, such as this lappet-faced vulture, attracted by the prospect of a meal. A golden jackal also paces about on the fringes, awaiting an opportunity to steal some meat. It is always amazing to see how quickly the scavengers gather once a kill has been made, and how swiftly they grow impatient with having to wait. Their meal almost finished, the cubs begin playing with the carcass. Seeing this, the black-backed jackals approach more boldly than the other scavengers have thus far. The chasing of the jackal by one of Jade's cubs is mostly in fun, yet with an element of seriousness to it, so the jackal is careful to keep out of reach. The scavengers will soon get the remains, since the cheetahs have finished and are now content to clean one another. Since the action by Jade and her half-grown cubs is pretty much over for now, and they'll all probably just rest for an hour or so, I'll continue recording post-feeding observations here, while Marlin tries to locate the radio telemetry signal being broadcast by the collar-wearing cheetah somewhere in this area.
We soon encountered a cheetah family in which the cubs were still very small, and the runt of the litter was finding survival difficult. Just a few miles from where Jade made the kill for her cubs, I've encountered some more cheetahs. It's the female George calls Brigitte, with her 5 young ones, and it seems that one of them is in trouble. Brigitte doesn't realize yet there's a problem, and while the first 4 cubs are following her pace easily, that's not the case with the runt of the litter. With every passing moment, the gap between the runt and its family increases. And now, for the first time, Brigitte realizes something is wrong. This runt only weighs about 3 pounds, as compared to over 5 pounds each for its litter mates. It may be genetically weak, and if so, it could be attacked by disease or a parasite and die. Such an occurrence is a tragedy not uncommon among cheetahs, but hopefully this one will survive. Brigitte is now fully aware of the problem and aware, too, that the runt should come to her call. When it doesn't, and only cries in return, she coaxes it with another call, but still unsuccessfully. So she heads back for it. The kitten is rescued, and it seems that Brigitte is so concerned for its welfare that its chances of survival are good. Responsibility to the other cubs is not overlooked simply because the runt needs special care. The runt's survival, as well as that of the other cubs, depends on Brigitte's ability to provide food for him, as well as protection against other predators of the Serengeti, such as lions and hyenas. With such parental care, all the cubs may be able to reach adulthood. Brigitte and the runt of her litter have now rejoined the other cubs. A lightness of spirit seems reflected in their running. Now, as the cubs move in next to their mother, the difference in size between the healthy cubs and the runt becomes very obvious. The runt will be able to rest, and through nursing on her nutritious milk, he'll probably regain his strength. Studies have proven that the ranges of males often overlap the larger ranges of the females, so perhaps I can pick up the male's radio signal here. There's definitely a signal being picked up on the telemetry receiver. It's a strong enough signal to suggest that the broadcasting unit is not very far away. As soon as a good directional fix is established, a careful scan is made through the binoculars in that direction in an effort to bring the collar-wearing cheetah into view. There are two cheetahs, and both are lying down. It is fortunate the collared cat was close by, or I might have missed getting the signal. The first thing to do now is alert George with the walkie-talkie. There's an immediate answer, and as carefully as possible, I provide directions on how to get here. George says he's on his way. I'll continue observing the cheetah wearing the collar. This animal's movements have been traced numerous times now, and each time he's located, it adds to the composite picture developing for George Frame about not only how cheetahs as a species live their lives, but how the different sexes behave. The more such data is gathered and correlated, the greater is our understanding of the species. With such increased understanding comes an ability to improve and perpetuate the habitat they need. In this way, the cheetah, one of the most beautiful as well as one of the most endangered of the world's big cats, may be aided substantially in the continuing struggle for survival. George Frame's research here on the Serengeti is extremely important because perhaps through it, the cheetahs shall survive. It is greatly disturbing to see the speed with which natural habitat is disappearing in our world and especially in Africa. For already greatly endangered species, such as the cheetah, there can be no leeway for any destruction of their habitat, such as the Serengeti Plains. Studies by scientists like George Frame are showing conclusively the imperative need to preserve the habitat if we are to succeed in our efforts to preserve the animal. Without the room they require in which to run and hunt and rear their families, the cheetahs will vanish. Our responsibility is therefore clear. We must do everything in our power to retain conditions which will encourage the continued survival of cheetahs as an important part of the wild kingdom.